Hey, everybody, welcome to Pastor. Have you seen this?
My line.
Oh, well, what are we doing here?
Well, we are giving a hot take on a cold read of some internet content that our media team has come up with, and apparently you and I are gonna give both of our takes. What if we have conflicting takes?
Oh, that'll be super entertaining. We want to say thanks to Nick for sending this in. If you wanted either Dan or Rick to take, well, you're going to double your money.
There you go.
All right, so we've never seen this before, and let's see what Nick has sent us.
For a 17th century farmer, the world seemed very real to you since you had lots of relationships that you could place yourself in. Instead of feeling anonymous, your life probably felt too public and too personal. People will remember the dumb mistake you made as a teenager for your whole life. Your lord who determined all your governance either liked you or hated you. And your kids, friends, and parents probably saw you have sex. The culture you lived in was the collective experience of people like you or your village and was thus intensely personal, but also had useful advice for the situations you'd face on a daily basis. We like to discount variables like religion, family, community, and so forth in the modern world, while the pre-modern viewed them as very important. However, we've consistently found with studies that they are the thing that makes people the happiest, much more so than money. Thus, when you look at their collapse, we can't view it as a secondary problem, rather the number one issue for society. For a 17th century farmer, the world seemed very real to you since you had lots of relationships that you could place yourself in.
So yeah, you're the community guy. This is absolutely. I'm in. Well, first of all, I grew up in a small town, so I can kind of confirm the idea that the good and the bad, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of summarized here. The good, you're completely connected. You're not living this disintegrated life. You're meeting the same people all the time. You get to know everybody, but then everybody knows your junk. Everybody knows your business.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town too. You're part of a collective, and the way I describe it is you're handed a script
Yes.
when you're a kid. It's like when they figure out who, okay, you're going to be the clown.
Yeah, right.
You never get a different role.
No. But the video is talking about what's good about that, right?
Yeah.
And what we've lost because in the modern world, we said, we don't need any of that stuff. We can be completely.
Individualism is the highest.
Yes,
order.
yes. I think it's really hard for Americans to wrap their mind around the idea that individualism, which was such a powerfully good development, right? Because collectivism was toxic in so many ways. If you don't matter, because you're part of a clan.
Why don't you make another kid? If you lose a kid, just make another.
You're individual.
Because you're going to have sex in front of the.
Exactly, just like they said.
True.
So your individual right didn't matter. So all of a sudden, individualism, which, by the way, I think it's not too extravagant to say, was baked into Christian doctrine. This idea that you're made in the image of God. That means every individual had exponential worth. So then we got to this place where the individual matters. And then, like you said, I don't know if we could see the end of that road, which was now that's the only thing that matters.
Right. Now, there's a really good analog when you think about housing trouble that we have. The reason, why do we have single family houses the way that we do here in America? When you think about all the different ways people have been housed and are currently housed in other parts of the world. Well, it came out of a good thing, a need. And it was plagues, it was cholera, it was all these diseases that people were having in tenements at the turn of the 19th century and the poverty that they were living in. And they're like, you know what, we need to get people separated. And we've got this thing, well, they can't afford well, we'll do this mortgage thing. And they developed that idea, which originally was for farmers. And it was a good thing until it's not. Right. Yeah. And so they weren't thinking that it was going to be this enormous capitalistic horror show that it's rapidly turning into. And it's the same with individualism. It's like, no, we probably should manage this. And I think some of the things that we're currently suffering from is we see, especially amongst the younger generation, that we see people who are more and more isolated, that they don't even have the basic tools of being able to cross that bridge into a real connected community because they're being raised by people who have been so individualistic, who are raised by people. It's accelerating.
Oh, and talk about accelerating, like it's modernism had sex with an iPhone, and then the result is this whole thing on steroids, right? I mean, so
you need the technology.
Yeah. So once technology, so modernism gave us this push towards individualism, like you said, for all of those social reasons, and then technology added just unbelievable amounts of horsepower to drive us into our corners, to cause us to basically live our lives out in isolation. And so, yeah, it's a thing. And, you know, I think it's probably an impetus for the Christian faith to start to make sense again.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're like the goldfish that got so smart they built a house out of the water. That's the technology, and that's the individualism. It's like, we're so smart, let's build a house out of water because so we can get more food there or whatever. And then we find that we can't breathe out there. We were built for something other than the world.
Oh,
we
out
lived in.
of the water.
Out of the water.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm trying to say, how do you
No.
make a house with water?
No.
Okay, so we're a goldfish.
I
that
communicate
built
for a living, by the
Yeah,
way. That's
good
what I
thing.
do.
You built a house in the air.
Yes, we built a house. We're
Because
fish.
we
built
could.
a house in the air because we could.
Because
We
we
were smart
could.
enough, and
So it's
it had a benefit X, Y, or Z.
Sure. So it's the whole just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly, because we're not built for this
Yeah,
world.
absolutely. And
We're
I
not
would,
built for the world we made.
when we talk about community around here, I'll often say if you ask the biologists, they will tell you that we're herd animals. If you ask an anthropologist, they will say that we're tribal. We are meant to be together. And no matter how you look at it, and the author here references that study after study confirms this. And you know what? Being in a spiritual community like church
For example,
is a great way to do that.
Great.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Thank
If
you.
you've got something you want to share, just email it to social@ac3.org.
And until next time on Pastor, have you seen this?
Good job.
We'll see you later.
You're
You did all right.
Later.
You know something about
I've
this.
heard better.
I've done better.